Hello, Fight or Flight viewers. My name is Nathan from Season 3 and Season 4 of Fight or Flight, and we have a great one today because I'm joined with the winner of Destination X and also, more importantly, the runner-up of Fight or Flight's third ever mini. Rick, how are you?
Hey, Nathan, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
So
it.
stoked to
Yeah.
talk to you. I know it's been a little bit since the game, but we're excited to get into it. How you feeling? How's life been?
I'm still trying to figure out what was better, winning Destination X or runner up to Fight or Flight Mini. So close, but they were both a lot of fun. I'm here to talk about the Blue Jays because today, I don't know when you're going to listen to or watch this episode. Today is the start of the World Series, and I'm from Canada. The Blue Jays are from Canada. It's our only team, so the entire nation is rooting for the Blue Jays today, going against the big Dodgers. So I got my World Series hat, and right after this call. I'm gonna hit a bar, and we're gonna start celebrating, rooting on the Blue Jays.
Hey, I'll join with you. I don't have a horse in the race here, but I'll join with you in solidarity here.
Yeah.
All right, Rick. Well, let's get into it. You are coming off of this win in Destination X. Loved your time there, but how did you find Fight or Flight? Was it Ty that introduced you to this?
Yeah, so I found Fight or Flight when Ty played. I'm not sure which mini she played, maybe in number
Yeah,
three. Is that right?
the
Okay.
second one. Yeah.
And then right after, or whatever it is, she called me right afterwards and says, Rick, this is a lot of fun. You should play in this. Reach out and say you'd be interested. So I did. I think I started following on the socials, and then I hit a like, and you were like, hey, do you want to play? I'm like, sure. I'm trying to like dabble in the other reality TV games. I wouldn't be opposed if NBC or CBS or Netflix said, "Hey, Rick, do you want to play in another game?" So I'm binge watching all the shows with my wife, and this is the first game I've played since Destination X. So I wanted to, see how it compares, see how I would do. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to give it away, but I sucked at this game. I did. I did. Only by a roll of the dice did I get second place. But no, I learned a lot about myself.
Hey, well, happy to hear it. It was truly a fun time to watch you play the game. And I might disagree. I think you had some really great moments. I don't want to sell yourself short, but you had maybe one bad moment we'll get to. But
Oh yeah. Oh
I
please.
think you played a better
We can
game than
ignore that.
yeah. Move past it. All right, well, let's get into it. The very first round is like this majority or minority comp and twist. The very first thing that Anthony says is that you are going to either pick fight or flight, and then you want to be in the majority of this competition. And I watched this back, and it's the very first round of this competition, and you pick flight instead of fight, and you're out in the very first round. Rick,
Gone.
were you throwing
Gone.
this? What happened?
I so I didn't know how aggressive to be in this game, and so I'm like, all right, I'll take a back seat. I'll just chill. And yeah, I was wrong. Totally should have been coming out fighting. And at that point, I realized, oh, I got to be more aggressive, and that's gonna come back to bite me in the ass for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but the good news is that Esme ends up winning this comp and is going to save yourself, Ty, and Sash at this moment. So you're safe for the very first round.
Yeah.
How was this connecting early on? Did you end up connecting with Esme, or did this, not
No,
really matter too much?
no. So I've got in front of me all my sheets. So I didn't know how to play with writing things down. See, in Destination X, we were not allowed to write down anything at all. It was all in our brains, no journal, no pen, no electronics. So now I'm like, oh, I can write anything down. I'm going to take meticulous notes. I'm going to have background stories on everybody. I'm going to research who they are ahead of time and like write down like so their Instagram handle, figure out do they have dogs? Like I'm going to come in like knowing everything. Yep, didn't work. Did not work at all. And the game goes by so freaking fast. You have no time to write down anything. Like Esme, my notes on Esme was she made me safe, right? So I was like, great. I had like check. She liked me. Um, and then I've got some other notes that I can't even like decipher right now. They were like scribbles. Um, Massachusetts. She was from Massachusetts. I wrote down everyone's hometown, and then I wrote down she stole something. Yeah, yeah, that was it. So on everybody's names, I got like their hometown and whether they saved me or whether I put them up or whether we had an alliance. But for Esme, nothing ever came from the round one. I think she saved Ty and I because she wanted to play with us, right? We're the whatever reality stars and didn't want us to go out first. I just chalked it up to that. I hadn't made any connection with her for anything. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And that's what it seemed like early on. You were just had some good vibes. You were talking to people, making sure, like, hey, where are you from? How's things going? And I honestly thought you were in a really great spot, especially as coming in as a reality star. It seemed like everyone really wanted to play with you. Did that feel? Did that track for you early on?
Yeah, yeah. So I just tried to be friendly. I tried to ask a lot of questions about them. Just be gracious with my time. But the problem is that in this game, you don't have one-on-one time with anybody early on. You might have 1 second, 2 seconds if you pick the right room, leaving, into the breakout session, and somebody else comes in, and you might have a 2 or 3 seconds before a third or fourth person pops in. So that's like it to make any connections or hey, do you want to work together? Or hey, I'm liking your vibes. There just isn't time at all. So to like build rapport, which it's important to me. And on Destination X, we'd be on the bus for hours where all we do is chit chat and we could move around and talk. Here, no. Everything is really public, which was hard for me.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's hard to really establish, alliances and things like that going in. And it seemed like that you always were with Ty and Lockstep, or at least that's what I saw. Especially you had a
Yeah.
couple of times later on where you got into a room alone. But is that what you saw? Were you always with Ty no matter what? And then did you have any early alliances or people that you felt really good about early on that you remember?
Yeah. So we Ty and I didn't talk about it ahead of time, but we said early on in the game when we finally got in the room together, I'm like, hey, we're working together, right? Just like assumed, right? Like we were friends. Like I didn't know she was gonna play this game, right? She was a late addition, is that right?
Yeah, yeah, I believe that she was. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just me. So I had talked to her about how it works, how what strategy, and so she gave me some of her insight, and I thought I'd be alone. And then I saw I was going to be with the survivor, Kellen. So I was like, all right. So and then Ty shows up. I'm like, perfect. I've got like a built-in ally. And our time on Destination X, was a little contentious. I was part of the scheme to get her out, and we tricked her with Belgium versus Netherlands. So, but of all the other players on Destination X, like there's three of them that I've really kept in touch with. Ty being one of them, and we met up in New York. She was gonna come to the finale and watch it at my place. So like we do text every few weeks. So I felt like yeah, extend the olive branch. Let's play together. So I had Ty, and then I also had Santi. I'm just reading my notes. Santi and Adam, I had an alliance with, and I kind of established that pretty much right before I got my first exit. We were in a room together, and the three of us were like we were vibing. And at that point, I'm like I didn't have any solid alliances. I'm like, hey, let's just make this official. The three of us, let's go. And they were like, yes. And when I came back, the alliance didn't last, but I talked about it in my finale speech or whatever it was.
Yeah, and that's a great way to segue too, because we get to that triplets twist where the trio of yourself, Santi, and Adam are together, and you're like, "Hey, no problem, I'll be nominated here," and
Yeah.
ends up being your demise here, where you get nominated from that group, and you go to a public vote, so you don't have those two built-in allies that you just made, and you're with. I have it noted down here, so it's yourself, Erica, Matt, Michael, and Chloe K. And it gives us public deliberation here. And I've always been a proponent of, let's make it interesting. Let's just not sit here and wait for somebody to throw a name. And I appreciated you for that. It's like you got the conversation started. However, sometimes, maybe not the best strategy to, completely throw out a name. I'll harken back to season 4 for a second. Is that that deliberation that I had or that I got to witness? It was a little bit of a slog. Nothing much was happening. But then for you, you come out here, you throw out Michael's name, and immediately Michael's like, okay, well, how about I'm gonna vote Rick, and then Chloe jumps on it, Matt jumps on it, and at that point it seems like wow, you're already done. So walk me through what happened here.
Well, I was deliberating in my head. All right, like so I was trying to be quiet in round one and just kind of like I voted for flight instead of fight, and that was not the right. I mean, I got ousted. So I'm like, all right, I need to be more aggressive. So when it was a public time, and it started off really quiet and friendly, nobody was saying anything, and it was like ho hum, and I'm like, well, if I want to be more aggressive, maybe if I can just throw a name, the other three will join me and say, all right, at least it's not me. So I thought it would be a majority against Michael. And like the first person to say a name, maybe that's all. If we don't know who we want to go against, I'm safe as the reality star. Let's vote with Rick, and maybe they're gonna want to be in alliance with me. No, absolutely backfired. And then I found myself quickly on the outs, and I was doing the math, going, I'm done. And I was thinking, all right, I'm not on the jury now. Maybe I can go downstairs and watch the rest with my wife. Yeah, so if you don't know, like I'm upstairs playing the game. My wife's downstairs on YouTube streaming it, watching it. Um, but because there was a little delay, I don't know how many seconds delay it is, or maybe she had paused it. I'm not sure, but like when I when I said the name Michael, I know it was about 10 seconds later, I heard from downstairs, no! And then I'm like, oh, F, I think I just screwed that one up. And we've been watching Big Brother all 27 all summer. And so I know like that's not how you finesse a name out there just by going strong and saying it. But, my first time, I learned and I found myself totally on the outs. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, I truly don't think it was that bad of a call. Like, if I'm there in that group, I'm like, sure, I'll go with Michael. I mean, you're the star. I'm going to play with you. Like, I want to see how far you can go, right? So I was very shocked that, both Chloe K and Matt just completely jumped on you right away. So it really had no shot there. But a quick segue. I'm curious. I mean, just really quick. What do you think of Big Brother 27?
Oh, my wife loves Vince. Um, and I thought he played a great game. Um, but yeah, he loved to hate him. I thought Keanu did great. Like if I was gonna like go on Big Brother House, I would model my game with Will and Keanu. Will being just the older guy, the dad. I tried playing the dad role on the bus. So, Will played the dad role and just gave these young whippersnappers some, good life advice. So that's part of it. And then also Keanu, because his back was on the ropes the entire game, but he kept winning. I think I'd be pretty good at the comps. I'm stronger than I look. I've got great puzzle skills. Um, any ball sport I got. So I'm like, I think I could be a comp beast like Keanu plus the dad vibes of Will. So that's kind of my game. Um, the romantic, the lover boy. No, none of that's going to happen with me. So I won't get into trouble like Vince did with Morgan. Yeah, so that's kind of my game. But I'm going to see a lot of these folks down in Orlando next in December. There's a reality conference weekend there in Orlando where a lot of these stars are going to be at. So I'm excited to hang out with them.
Yeah, no, that sounds fun. Hope you enjoy that. That. So I appreciate the insight there. And we'll keep going, moving forward. You're out of
Hold
the
on,
game
what
now.
did you think of Big Brother? What did you think of Big Brother?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was rooting for Morgan actually. I'm a gamer myself, so I
Okay.
had to see myself in her. So it was tough to see her lose out at the final three there, but yeah, that was my rooting interest.
Are you a Twitcher as well?
I have a small YouTube channel that I post on
Okay.
sometimes, but not on Twitch myself. Just for Fight or
Okay.
Flight to stream
All
it.
right. So I'm a big bird watcher. Twitch is a term in England to chase after a rare bird. You're a twitcher if you go after rare birds. So there's some overlap there.
Hey, I love that. Thanks for the knowledge drop.
Sure thing.
Yeah. Hey, well, so now you're out of the game for Fight or Flight. You think it's over. You think you're done, but then
I I go
you know
downstairs and crack a beer. I'm like, sorry, hon, I didn't bring home the big bucks this time. So I've played two reality games. I won one and I miserably failed at the other. So one out of two isn't bad.
Hey, yeah, 1 out of 2 is not bad.
I
But hey, personally, I'm on the sidelines. I'm in the breakout room. So I don't know what's going on. So walk me through what happens. Does Anthony bring you back? Like something happened with a number to bring you back in the game? What did we
Yeah.
miss?
So I got a couple Instagram messages saying, "Hey Rick, are you still there? You know, don't get off social media yet. The game for you might not be over." They said there's going to be four or six of the exited players. You pick a number between 1 to 6, and then I think three of you get to come back. So it's you have a 50-50 chance of coming back. So I picked two, and I sent that message back, and then instantly I get a message saying, "Congratulations, that's one of the safe numbers." And wait till after the break, log back in, and you're gonna have a second life.
Wow. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
now you're back. Wow, and we get to this soulmate twist where now you have to pick someone to be inextricably linked with in the game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your first pick was Adam, right?
Yeah.
And
I tried to
then,
pick Adam
yeah,
because he was part of the alliance. And I hadn't really talked to Ty much. Like we hadn't no opportunities in the breakout rooms. So I'm like, all right, maybe Adam will be my guy, and that will be seen as a kind of an undercover. People will probably guess that I'm with Ty. Let me pick Adam. And so I type into the chat, I pick Adam. Instantly, I get a reply saying, not allowed. Somebody's already chosen Adam. Pick a second choice. So that's when I picked Ty. Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, and I thought for sure that someone was gonna at least come out and say, "Okay, I think Ty has definitely got to be a soulmate," because that would be such an easy choice. Like everyone loves Ty. Ty's playing a
Yeah.
great social game, and Rick is already gone in theory, right? So you want to play with one of the reality stars keep moving forward. But it seemed like no one really ever caught on that you and Ty were together as a soulmate. I don't know how, but from your perspective,
And
what did you see?
I was waiting for somebody to ask me point blank, Rick, who's your soulmate? And I did tell one person. I told Adam when I got him in a chat room by myself. I'm like, hey Adam, I tried choosing you just so you know. And he's like, ah. And I'm like, you must have a soulmate now. He's like, I don't. And I'm like, oh, two people must have chosen them, and then we both chose somebody else. So, he lost out, or maybe it was a benefit to him. So I told him, hey, confidentially, I want to work with you still. Ty is my soulmate. So please keep her safe. So I did that to protect myself.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that worked out worse for him because he doesn't really have someone else protecting him in theory in his corner. So he does go out pretty shortly after this,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And you're starting to lose some allies here. But you still got Ty. You're still making some other new allies coming up. And eventually, you are going to form an alliance. This might be a little bit more further down the line, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. But you eventually get into a three-person alliance with Addy and Nick. That
Yeah.
actually proved to be pretty crucial for you. Walk me through
Yeah.
what was your thought process with that?
Well, before Addie and Nick, I had a time with Michael, the one I
Yes, yes,
tried to oust in
yes.
my the trio, or the public vote. I tried like getting him out, didn't work. I'm like, ugh, he's probably feeling a little anxious that Rick's gunning for him. So I wanted to make sure he knew, hey, I'm not going for you. That was a blunder. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And so, he was gracious and forgave me on that. But then Addie and Nick, you're right. We said let's all three of us work together. Um, it didn't work. Um, it worked with Nick. It didn't work with Addie because Addie ended up putting me up. Puts me up, and even though I was loyal to Addie the whole time, so but being with Nick was great, absolutely
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. I think that was probably one of the most crucial alliances for sure, no doubt, in the entire game. So,
Yeah,
um, with Michael specifically, you are going to be able to make up. Seemed like Michael's like, oh yeah, Rick, no problem. But Michael's up at the jury phase of the game, and you are able to vote him out, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. And on top of that, Erica is his soulmate, so we're already down. Get to the jury phase of the game with the soulmates intact. But then you get Michael out. Now you're down to 9, and then at that point, Santi is gonna choose to redo the safety chain twist, and then the irony is that he goes out on that safety chain. So now Lillian is also out with Santi. Now you're down to the final 7, and now you're entering the game back as a soulmate. And during this time, you were not really allowed to compete in any competitions as well. So it really felt like this time period for you was more of like a rebuilding phase. And then you really kicked up the gear. Is that what you saw?
Yeah, and it was frustrating as the rounds came on. I'm like, all right, can I play or not play? Am I on the sidelines? Am I building my resume or am I just, waiting it out? I mean, you can't win this game through attrition. You have to actually be a participant and you have to be able to show the jury that you're a powerful player. I mean, that's what won it for Ty and not for me. I know we're jumping to the end, but I desperately wanted to play in all these games. And I knew the longer I was on the sidelines, the harder it was going to be for me to win.
Yeah. And we definitely saw that where now that you're truly in the game at the seven, you really start to kick things into gear. And probably the biggest move of the game is at the final six, where it's this duel or duel round where Addy and Ty are, chosen as the most trustworthy. And you have to bridge the gap and figure out how you can communicate with both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Honestly, I was watching this. It was very impressive to see you go back and forth and get Davey out in this spot. So walk me through, why Davey at this stage and why did this truly, affect your game so much?
Yeah. So this is when we got Davey out. And Davey was also like, he's probably at the bottom. And we all wanted kind of Davey out, but he he kept hanging around, so we couldn't talk about him. And every time I would go to a different room, Davey would show up. And I'm trying to tell I'm trying to tell Ty and Addy, we got to get Davey out. And they both kind of knew it, but they were waiting for confirmation from the other one that that's who we're voting for. So I knew time was getting really short. So I eventually told Davey, hey, Addy wants to talk to you. Hey, Ty wants to talk to you to get him out of the room so then I could say, all right, the plan is we're voting for Davey. Ty's on board. Addy's on board. Davey's the one. So I thought that was at least for me in the jury, I told him like I was the person who was the correspondence, the back and forth, and it worked. We got Davey out. But every time I say that to the jury, I'm worried like, but Davey's on the jury. So it's like, you if you piss off every jury member, they're all not going to vote for you. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's always a tough line to toe because you got to get their respect, but also, make sure they're not bitter too. So, but honestly, I really felt like you were quite eloquent in the final speeches, but we'll get there. And I love the narrative that you pitched there. But now we get to the final five where it ends up being a revote between Ava and Nick at this spot. In this moment, the whoever gets voted here has to drag two people into a competition, leaving two people to advance to the final four here. And you come up with this seemingly like a reverse psychology type of plan to Ava where it's like, okay, well, I'm such a huge threat, or I'm not, I need to build my resume, so I want to take you
Yeah.
on in the competition.
Yeah.
And then Ava, gets picked to go in the competition. And she does not choose yourself and Ty, which I was mind blown because it felt like at the final five, very clearly you and Ty are a duo, and you would have to separate that in some fashion to get to the end. And both of you guys survive that round
We
without going
just
in the competition.
we just got right through that round. Like I feel like I convinced Ava not to choose me for the puzzle. Because I told her I want to do it. I want to beat you fair and square. I want to show the world that I'm good at puzzles. This is my chance to build my resume. And she's like, "Well, I don't want him to do that. I don't want him to beat me or to show the world how good he is at puzzles." And I'd rather take a guaranteed spot in the next round than showing the world how good I am in my puzzle skills. And it worked. But, it was a short-term win because long-term didn't work out.
Right. I mean, personally to me, I thought that was very sound strategy. I enjoyed what you said with that. It reminds me of like Final Four fire making and Survivor, where why would you want to go to the fire when you just take a guaranteed spot? You don't have to prove yourself and do that again.
Yeah.
And now you're
But
in the
it's a
final
bold
four.
move. It's a bold move. Put me in fire. I want it. And I was playing the puzzle because even though I wasn't in the competition, I had the puzzle screen popped up. I wouldn't have won. And so the timer went off, and then I came back later. I think it was the next morning, and the puzzle was still up, and I hadn't finished it. I was like, "Oh, cool!" And so then I finished the puzzle in the morning. That's a really cool puzzle app you have there. I was
Yeah,
impressed.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt. And that's good that you didn't go in the competition. You end up surviving to the final four, where it's now a public vote, public decision. Ty ends up winning this immunity. So now it's between yourself, Nick, and Ava. You come out. At this point, now you can kind of be a little bit more public because you know that most likely Nick and Ty are going to be on your side. You're going to throw out Ava for this elimination here, and you say that, oh, Ava's won so much, Ava's such a threat, and then it's also funny that, Ava comes back, I won one competition, why me? So how are you able to get Ava out in the spot where, in reality, she really only won one competition, So was it just the alliance at that point?
Yeah, it's all about having your alliance members. So I just didn't want to say, "Hey, Ty, Nick, you guys are both on my side. Let's get out Ava." That's the obvious choice. It's no, Ava's a threat. And in fact, I hadn't remembered when I was saying that how much she had won and hadn't won. Like the game went by so fast, and I had missed 3 or 4 rounds. So because I was out, that I just made the shit up. I'm like, she's really good. She's won all this stuff. No.
Right. Yeah, and it worked. We get to the final three, and it's a format change. Normally, one person wins. Safety chooses another person to go with them to the final two. However, now it's a vote to save, where now each one of the three of you need to vote to save. And they both end up saving you in this spot. How do you feel in this moment? You made it to the final two. Do you think you have a shot?
No, no, absolutely not. Because I think they both chose me because they both thought they could win up against me. So I was the patsy being taken to the end. Um, it didn't feel good. I mean, it felt good to be in the final two, but like I knew I wasn't going to win. There's no way the jury is going to let me win when I didn't play the whole game. Like, I don't know if anybody in my path will be able to win even in the future. Like, maybe somebody will come back and just win like the last 5 or 6 in a row. But I think the way I did it, they were just bringing me to the end because they knew if they sat next to me, they'd win. Um, and you can see in the number of votes that Ty got. Yeah, I'm jumping ahead again. I only got two, and that was really from my alliance members. And then she got the rest. But yeah, smart move. Take me. I was, I felt good, but yeah.
Yeah. Even though you're building up sort of this resume, you've had, a great final six, final five round. It just seemed like that your only path to victory was probably to cut Ty in some spot. However, with the game design, it didn't really allow you to have like that, cold move and actually pull that off. Were you ever thinking of, hey, maybe do I have to cut Ty to win this game? Or would you have always gone to the end with Ty?
I would have gone to the end with Ty. Like I really didn't think I would have won. So I'm like, I thought it'd be great just to play with her to the end and have her win. I was happy with that. Um, yeah, you're probably right. A big move like that might erase that I was out of the game early on. Like a big move, a couple key wins. Like had I played the puzzle and won, and then had I been able to like blindside Ty and take her out, that might give you the resume to win. But I just didn't have it. Didn't have it.
Yeah. And let's say this scenario plays out where Nick wins the competition instead of Ty at the final three. Do you think you have the votes against Nick in the final two?
Oh man, good question. Um, I would have to go back and see what he did throughout the game. Did he win any competitions? Um, because my I got my speech here that I quickly scribbled down. I was I helped get Davey out. I convinced Ava not to put me in the puzzle challenge. I had a few alliances. Um, and I used my social game just to not get out. Uh, I bet he wins for sure. I bet he wins. Yeah, I yeah, I think he wins.
Yeah. I know that Nick was, very socially savvy throughout the game. I don't know, I recall if he won any competitions. I don't believe so, but I think that it's always very tough when you're voted out of the game and to come back. You just have to play that much better than the other person.
Yeah.
So I think it probably would have been very close. I think probably Ty does vote for you as well. So it's probably maybe like a 5-4, something pretty close like
Yeah.
that. I could see it. But I think that could have been cool, but in this timeline, not there, unfortunately.
Now, most of the players followed me on Instagram after the game, and I chatted with all of them the next day. They all said, "Hey, great playing with you." Nick was so awesome. He's like, "Rick, it was a dream come true that I got in the final three with you and Ty." And he's like, "That was the, best moment of my life." So I was like, "That
Oh,
was cool. That was fun. That was good."
yeah. Then that was so cool, and even from the sidelines, and even talking to you now, it's like awesome to speak with you. And we get to the final two. What a dream! Like, who would have thought that you and Ty would make it to the final two? Um, I thought, there was a great shot, especially coming down to the final six. I'm like, are they really going to let Rick and Ty do this? But you guys did it, made it to the final two. And now you have to pitch against Ty, who's, has this great narrative of, Rick took me out in Destination X. I want to get my one up back on him, and is very fiery and passionate in the plea. And then you also have a great argument as well, or trying to amount as much as you can. What are you thinking in that moment? Are you just trying to come up with anything to sell your game at that point?
Yeah, I think what helped Ty a lot as well is she'd played before. And a lot of the players knew her from the previous game. I'm new. I don't think everyone had watched Destination X, so they didn't know really who I was, except that I had won and oh, he must be really smart. So like, and I think that what they remember is when I threw Michael's name out there. And I think that showed me as playing too hard, too aggressive, too fast. And then I come back and maybe there's a little question in their heads like, "Oh, of course the reality star gets to come back. That's not, it's a rigged game." I'm like, "No, it's not. I was downstairs drinking a beer. Like it was fair." But so I was always like a step behind. Because Ty had done so well socially, playing the games, and then she hid you know, that we were partners. That what's the word?
It's like a secret duo or an alliance.
No, no, not the
Oh, the
coming.
soulmate,
We were
soulmate.
soulmates. Yeah, she had hidden that we were soulmates. So like that helps in her resume. So like it was cool for my resume, but like it negates it because she had the same thing. That she was playing with this secret. Um, yeah, there was no doubt in my mind that Ty was going to win. So like I tried my damnest with this speech, but I think you could see behind my eyes, I knew I was a dead man walking.
Yeah, at least I enjoyed your humor as well in it. There's a moment where you're like, no, at least no one called me a snake like Josh in Destination X. That was fun. And
Yeah.
I also enjoyed, you had your Destination X sweater on through the game. So I was like, it was also a funny moment earlier on where, in that public deliberation where he's like, he's the winner. He's got the sweatshirt right there. Why are we not voting him out? But,
I got
you
all my
coming.
I got all my props from the show right here.
Yeah. Yeah. So you end up, runner up, a great finish. You do end up getting two votes. So you're not, you didn't get bageled here. You got a couple votes in the end. It was Nick and Lillian that ended up voting for you. So, how do you feel about the game overall? I mean, obviously, you're out for a little bit, but you made a resurgence in the end, made it to the end with Ty. What's some of your final thoughts here?
Final thoughts. Winning Destination X, I don't think helped me at all in this game. I think had I been in a Big Brother house, that would have helped. Had I been on Survivor, that would have helped. Those social skills and those little quick puzzles, that's what helps you in this game. And to be able to remember, I don't know how many players we had, 12 or 13, 14. Like, remember their names and remember like, to be able to come up with an alliance quickly. And, like, I just didn't have it. I want to play again because I think I would approach it much differently. I'm not going to tell you how, but I would approach it differently because I am a gamer. Like, I love playing games and I love figuring them out. I think in high school, my nickname was Rule Book because I would always read all the rules to the games and find all the loopholes and the ways to gamify it to my advantage. So now that I've thought about this game, I think there's ways for me to crush it.
Hey, well, happy to hear it. Would you ever play a full-time fight or flight, like a legit long version, or do you think maybe that's a little too much time commitment?
Uh, I'm holding out for Amazing Race to run that with my wife, or I'm really hoping for Traders this year or next, or Big Brother. So In the meantime, I'm always up for something. Hit me a DM. We'll talk about it. I got lots of time waiting.
Absolutely. Well, Rick, I wish you the best. I would love to see you on any other show. Absolute pleasure getting to talk to you. Anything you want to plug?
Follow me on Instagram, birding with Rick. I don't know if you like birds. That's all I do. I talk about birds 24 hours a day. Bird watching is becoming mainstream. It's on TV shows. It's on the TikTok. It's on the YouTube. Birds are cool. Join the birding revolution. Follow me, birding with Rick.
I co-sign that. I think you have some great content on your Instagram, so definitely check it out. As for me, it's been Nathan. You can follow me on Instagram at NathanHWLL. Absolute pleasure again. All the best, Rick. Have a good one, everybody.
Go Blue Jays!